What's going on, guys? It's GBP baby. Welcome back to another video. Hope everybody's doing well, and let's dive straight into things. So this is going to be pretty much a weekly review, just off the basis that I didn't post on Sunday or Monday. And as you can see, I do have the economic calendar up. It's looking tomorrow, as in Wednesday, like we have quite a lot of high impact news amongst euro and dollar, especially with the Fed interest rate decisions. So I do believe we are going to see quite a lot of volatility off the back of that. And then moving into Thursday, let's see what we got. You can see we also have some high impact news, and then finally on Friday we've also got high impact news with non-farm payrolls. So yeah, this week I think it's going to be messy in general. This week is going to be messy in general just because of how much we've got going on, and when you have lots of high impact news events like these, this is when it's one, dangerous to trade, but two, you start to see a lot of manipulation, and these are the weakest times when I tend to be able to trade, especially when you got interest rate announcements and non-farm payroll. Like, it's going to be messy, but nonetheless, let's dive straight into the charts. And you can see we're here on the monthly, and we are coming to an end of July already, which I can't believe, and approaching the month of August. So this means that at this point of the month we should be expecting either the high to be made and then some kind of retracement of some sort, because obviously we've already created a range, but we don't know whether the high has been made yet for the month. And after seeing this week's price action and the end of last week's price action, I wouldn't be surprised if the high hasn't been made, and we do need to consider that, especially with the high impact news coming on Friday. So there's lots of things to consider, but nonetheless, as you can see on the monthly, there is a small volume imbalance right here that price may be reaching for to try and get into before the end of the month. And if not, then I'll be looking at this for next week, but we can talk about that another day. Let me just get rid of this, So it's possible that price may be trying to get up there, but the weekly will give us a lot more clearance. And you can see that there is relatively equal highs. So when we've got highs here, here, and here, these are relatively equal. This is where buy side liquidity is residing. And as I said, what tends to happen at this time of the month is price will likely, that if it hasn't already done, so it will try and create the high or the low, just because we're coming to the end of it. So it needs to create some kind of, generally it needs to create some kind of wick off the back of that, so we can anticipate that. And you can see that this week we've been moving aggressively towards these relatively equal highs already. So let's go to the daily, and you can see we had a massive Monday. Tuesday just tipped us above these highs as well. When we have a Monday this large, I very much doubt that price is going to see much of a deep retracement back into the range. I would like to think that price will continue and try and run the buy stops above here, to be honest, just because of how aggressive this transition has been. What I am looking at is this last down close candle though before this move. It's almost acting as a breaker, low, high, lower, low. So we've got an order block here, then a high. So I am looking at this. I do believe there should be something involved around here. So what I'll do is I'll drag that through, and as we drop down to the low time frames, we should be able to find some kind of PD array, maybe on the 4 hour, that might hint at something that price could use as a catapult almost. So let's go to the 4 hour. And you can see again, here's a bullish order block, and we're just in a bit of consolidation. So moving into tomorrow, I'm going to remain bullish until proven otherwise. Again, here's our relative equal highs. They're a lot more cleaner on the 4 hour, and it'll be nice to see if price can continue to tap her up. But one thing to note is look at how the bullish order blocks are respecting themselves. So here, traded into it here, and you can see expansion trading inside of this one currently. So within this range, ideally price doesn't break outside of certain boundaries. So you can see that I've drawn the volume off the break, and you can see how we're sat currently on that 50% level. As far as I'm concerned, I don't want to see price drop below that. I'd like to think that volume can stay above it, which means that, if I was to stick with this, then I'd be anticipating that price is going to keep wandering up, and it very well could, especially the fact that we've already traded into a fair value gap. So I'll show you what I mean. On the 1 hour, between this high and this low is a fair value gap, and you can see how prices came down, traded to the 50% level of that as well, and is now bouncing around at the at the top of that. So with that all taken into account, let's go to the 15-minute, and I'm going to get the daily dividers up just to see a potential play out for tomorrow. But again, with all this high impact news, guys, this week, I hate to attempt to be too accurate, because again, the news is designed to be manipulative regardless. And then on top of that, if you are trading this week, which I think is horrendous, then you should be doing it with awfully low risk. But you can also see it amongst the stocks. You can start to feel the turn, but we'll talk about that another time. But here on the 15 minutes, a lot more detailed. Let's go to So this is going to be Tuesday, and then we'll get yesterday's Asian range, which started at 7 or 6. I usually make them purple. Bear with me, guys. And the reason I'm marking out this is because this is the London session, and what I'm going to do is I want to try and, this is what I do usually on like a back testing basis. I've never done this on this level, but we've got time today, so let's use it. So if we look at the low of this and the high of this, this is the high and low which was created in the London session today. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use that 50% level after the London session to help guide us into the new day. So as far as I'm concerned, if the Asia range is created above the 50% level, there's no reason I can't expect price to carry on traveling up to there. Ideally, price doesn't go any lower than, say, 25% level. But basically what I'm doing is I'm using this range as guidance for the new day. But obviously we still have the whole Asia range to trade, and then midnight around 2 a.m, 3 a.m. is when I'd look for my setup, with the expectation that price will be able to keep pushing up higher. But note the times of day, like how much I am referring to price. Referring to time. So yeah, I'm going to just make that a little bit more grey. Whoops. And then I can just refer to that as I move into the new day, because the London session is what I'll be trading, so I'll wait for 2 a.m. 3 a.m. is usually when the actual setup forms, but you can enter at obviously 1 or 2, and then I'll be expecting us to still be above the 50% level, and you know, a willingness to trade higher should come off at 3 a.m. and then I'd want to see this buy target hit. So that's going to be everything on dollar. I hope that will make sense, but overall I'm looking for this high to get taken. And then after that, to be honest, after these highs have been taken, that's when it's open. That's when we have to wait, because, or non-farm payroll will probably come in and do some work. But what I'm saying is that once this high has been taken, because remember this is a monthly PD array, so once that's traded to, if it gets traded to, we have to wait and reanalyze and take our time. And that's probably when it's going to get messy. So long as we stay above this 50% level and we keep traveling on higher as we move into the Asia range, I'm happy to run for this high. But if this 50% level gets disrespected and we start trading lower or whatever, we have to be a bit more patient, and I'll continue to wait, because you know, that's when it just gets a bit messy. I went in a lot of detail there, guys, but nonetheless, let's go on to GBP USD, and you can see prices continued its fall. So if you remember last week, I did call this high. I called us to trade to it. We traded to it. We had some beautiful trading on the way down, and you can see price hasn't stopped. So let's do some weekly analysis here, and we need to look, okay, if we're expecting dollars to potentially be trading higher, what could pound be reaching down into? And the next swing low is over here, so that could very much be a target for pound. And then if we go to the daily, again, that high is there. And then, yeah, there's a lot of consolidation, but there is a bullish order block within here, which I've got my eye set on, which would be this. So if we are going to get a reversal off the back, you know, if price is to pull back into itself, maybe on the back of non-farm payroll, if it is to reach all the way down here, then it would be a trigger off the bullish order block, is what I'm saying. But that's, yeah. And then if we split that, that's also the 25% level off the bullish order block on the daily. So let's take note of, and then let's go down to the 4 hour. And you can see we've had quite a strong reaction off the back of this low. But again, they love to do this. They love to engineer liquidity, as in create a low. And then, you know, everyone's going to be going long thinking, oh, price might be going higher now. But then they'll just dump it again. So you got to be really careful with times like these. Also, do note, we have already traded. This is a fair value gap. And look at how we've tapped into that here on the 4 hour basis. Ideally, price doesn't tap into it again. I don't want to see this high get taken. If this high can stay intact, then I'll be comfortable shorting. If it does get disrespected, I'll be a little bit more cautious. But ideally, that high stays intact. Just because I'm happy that it's trading to this fair value gap. Or if it, there's another thing. If it does trade through it, then I'd be looking at the 50% level for it to trade to. So if I do see this high get disrespected, then I'm looking at this to be traded to. Any higher than that, and I don't want to be involved because it's not in line with my bias. But if it taps this and then we get a strong reaction off the back of it, maybe at a certain time of day, then it should be nice. But yeah, I do believe this is manipulation. I do believe they're just engineering in some liquidity. So here's a 15 minute, And you can see we've tapped down into a fair value gap on this as well. Look at how we're respecting the 25% level, very interesting. And again, this is more reason as to why now, looking at it, I wouldn't be surprised if price does tap this. But again, I'm looking, I hope this isn't too confusing. I'm looking at the 50% level of this as to be where it be trading to. You got to remember, guys, I don't know what's going to happen with the markets. I just like to share what I think is going to happen and how I approach it when I do. So when you got to remember, like, there's certain things that happen, like this high getting taken, which I'll then look up to here for. Or there's certain things like this high not being taken that I can start thinking about, okay, how is it going to form some kind of reversal to pull lower, and where's it going to be running to? So although I have these targets marked out, there's a certain order of events that I'd anticipate happening. Again, I'm going to get the daily dividers up. This is quite a long video, guys. You might want to watch this at 2 speed. But if you enjoy longer videos like this, do let me know. So here's the Wednesday. We'll get Monday as well. Although I don't really want to bother too much with Monday because we've had such a large move away. Looking at this from this angle now, I wouldn't be surprised if that 50% level does get traded to. So maybe I'm going to take this off because I'm happy for price to run it if it needs to, so long as it continues to respect this 50% level. And then what I'm looking at as well is the Asian range, which is between 7 p.m. and where are we? And midnight. And if we drag that through, I'm not going to keep this up because it'll get messy. But what I'm saying is then again, look at the 50% level. We're playing with this, and the high of the Asian range just got tapped once, got tapped again. So it's typical for them to, if there's another, again, they might form an Asian range and then both sides need to be taken to some extent. So I'd be expecting to run it and then reverse the back of it. But we can talk about that tomorrow if it does play out. I could be talking complete crap, guys, so remember that. So here's the Thursday the 31st. Wednesday that I'm delineating. But this 50% level is what I'm looking towards and how we treat it. Because if we go through it, I don't want to be involved. I'll just step away and I'll hold my hands up. It's as simple as that. What am I looking at? Yeah. So yeah, pretty much I want to see the high get created around here. And then if we are to trade lower in line with dollar, ideally trading higher, then I can start thinking about these lows to get taken. And I'm trading into that original level I spoke about down here, which was a bullish order block on the weekly. So that's going to be everything over here. I hope that will make sense. Let's now go on to Euro USD. Euros had quite a messy way down, as you can see, so I wouldn't be surprised if it has to do some catching up at a later point this week. But let's bear in mind, actually, Euro does have a lot of work, a lot of high impact news this week compared to pound. Euro. So like with that taken into account, we need to remember that we might see Euro doing some work, some harder work, like, catching up ultimately. So as you can see, Euro's traded down into a bullish order block and it's traded to the open of it, which I do like the look of. But now but because we're on the sell side, or if we're assuming that we're on a sell program, we should be looking at bearish PD arrays, yeah, such as these lows like here, for price to be working its way towards. And then this is a rejection block level as well, so we've just tapped into it. But the next point that I'd want to see price be trading towards is the 50% level off that range, off that wick. So let's get that delineated. I'll make this dashed, and this is where I'm looking for price to be pushing towards. And then if we go down to the daily, you can see again, huge Monday. Again, more down action today, and then I would be looking for us to maybe trade into this low. So I'm happy for price to tap above this low, but then as soon as it taps above it, I'd see that as an entrance for potential shorting opportunity in line with dollar, ideally trading higher. So remember, GBP, I'm looking simply for that 50% level to get traded to from the fair value gap, and then Euro, I'd be looking for this to be traded to, and then in line with dollar, I'd be looking for this low to be, this midpoint to be traded to, and that's when I'd be thinking about my setups when it gets to those levels. So let's go to the 4 hour, take a closer look, and you can see there's not really much to look at, so to speak. We might want to run out that high. Again, this might be engineered liquidity. We have a nice bearish order block here, so again, I'm looking for us to tap just above it and then be able to reverse on the back of it. And if that's going to be the case, then I'll be looking at this bearish order block right here. And to be honest, this is technically a fair value gap, because we have a high, we have downwards delivery, and then this range has been traded to down, upwards, down, but it's been left here for upwards delivery, as in, this is where I'd want to, ICT explains that stuff way better, but basically I'm saying I want to see price try and trade up into that little range right there. If it gets above it, so be it, that's fine. Or if it doesn't reach it, so be it, that just shows more bearishness and it's better for us. But my point is, if it's going to go anywhere, I want to see it tap into there. It would be nice. 15 minute, again, you can see that also lines up with a nice little breaker, as in one of the last bearish order blocks, as in a point of accumulation. So there's no reason they shouldn't be able to redistribute at that point. Fair value gap here on the 15 minute as well, which lines up with our bias, and then bearish order block on the 5 minute. So there's reasons why we want to see price tap into there. It's just that I want to see a reaction away from it. However, if we find ourselves trading to it and trading through it, then then price will be moving very fast, and I'd expect this high to be taken, and it happen like that, is what I'm saying. So when price taps into this, and if it reverses, it'll be a lot higher resistance way down. But if price was to trade through it and continue higher, you'll see how fast it'll move. It'll expand really fast and it'll run out these highs, and that's because of the behavior of price, depending on the point at which we're looking at it. But we will talk about this tomorrow. Let me get the daily dividers up and bring this video to an end. Yeah, so we have Tuesday delineated, and now we have Wednesday delineated, and similar to dollar, we're just inside of the range. So they do all this back and forth price action on weeks like these because they want to confuse people. Remember, there's a lot of people that were short during this, and now it's got to this point and they're probably sweating their palms off thinking that price might be reversing right now. But this is just a point in where the smart money should be either accumulating or distributing. That's why it's a clear consolidation, as in we're wrapping all over each other. They're going to do things on weeks like these because they want as much confusion in the market as possible, because it's algorithmic and there's certain points at which big money should be buying and selling. And if price goes along with everything I've been drawing attention to, then that's great. Then we're looking at it in the right way. But it's not just whether it's right or wrong, whether it's going higher or lower. You got to remember it's the behaviors and the adjustment to it, because although I want price to go to here and trade on lower after that, if it doesn't do it, it doesn't mean I can't trade. It doesn't mean I can't be profitable, because like I said, if it does manage to trade through that, I said it will start running after it. So that's when I'd look for another in. If it is to do that, that's when I'd start looking for another setup. I'd just be trading the other direction with the anticipation that's going to run for these. So when I look at it, there's obviously explanations for both. It's just that there's certain things I want to see which are based off the higher time frames, which is why the monthly and weekly are so important, because I keep referring to it, saying that, you know, on a weekly level, dollar should be aiming to run out buy stops. So we want to see the behaviors on the lower time frames of the other pairs being respected, as in certain PD arrays being respected in a certain way to support that bias. Anyway, hope that all makes sense. Don't forget to drop a like, drop a comment, smash subscribe, join the Discord, join me over the mailing list as well. All the links are in the description, and I'll catch you guys tomorrow. Peace.